All right. Welcome to the Ultra High Net Worth Clients Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Brodhead. We started this podcast as a way to create a central resource of the best financial advisor practice growing tips shared by the most outstanding advisors in the industry, of which our guest today is definitely one. These outstanding financial advisors agree to be on the show and provide a ton of value for free, all in the hopes that our audience might learn from their words. My father was a financial advisor, and financial advisors are the main clients we serve. So, my marketing agency's mission is to help every financial advisor grow their business in an effort to help the world become more financially secure. Today, we have the rare pleasure of talking with an incredible financial advisor, Stephen Nelson. Stephen, can you please introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you?
Yeah, Stephen Nelson, been an advisor for 12 years now. Started at a broker-dealer firm in Utah, and about 7 years ago, moved my 2 kids and wife from Utah to Southlake, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas-Fort Worth, to come work here at Mills Wealth at a registered investment advisory firm. We work with small business owners, typically helping them get their money right.
Awesome. So what inspired the move? Was it the connection with the firm or?
It's a funny story. I actually never met Mike in person. We talked on the phone like 3 times. It was before Zoom. Zoom wasn't really a thing that much before COVID. And it was back in 2018. So we didn't even Zoom. We just talked on the phone a couple of times and we just knew it was the right fit. The firm I was at before, if you remember in 2017, the Department of Labor came out with the fiduciary rule. And the firm I was at, it was like, we don't want to be fiduciary. We don't want to do that. And at the time I was a CFP and I'm like, well, I kind of want to be a fiduciary. So
Yeah.
started looking for other firms to work at and through someone else met Mike, talked on the phone like 3 times. Like I said, we just decided to move. It felt like the right thing to do. I interviewed at like 7 different firms. And so I went to a lot of the other places, but I just felt like coming here was the right fit and felt like I could be a true fiduciary, which was what I was looking for. So it was
Mhm.
just the perfect fit for us to come here. But yeah, didn't know Mike before, didn't really know much about Dallas before, but we love it. We haven't looked back. We've enjoyed it the whole time.
Mhm. That's awesome. So what was it? Were you part of his succession plan, or how exactly did the structure come about?
Yeah, it was kind of the perfect storm. He had another guy who was like his right hand man, and he was trying to push that guy to be more like outside sales, like try and like replicate what he was doing. And the guy kind of just wanted to be service advisor. And like looking back, he's like, I should have kept him and just brought me on to go do the outbound. But the other guy ended up leaving, going somewhere else, and was like, I need somebody else to replicate what I'm doing, and also being like a solo advisor. He needed someone to kind of take over. He didn't want to just be the lifestyle practice. He wanted to grow it into, a bigger practice than just him. And so me
Mhm.
coming in was basically the start of the succession plan. And oftentimes when you have, a good successful firm, it's hard to go from one advisor to one advisor because, they built something from nothing, they're going into something big, and it's hard to have one advisor come and take it over. So the
Mhm.
plan is that I will be one of multiple advisors who will take over the firm, but the likelihood is that I will be kind of like the one leading the firm because I came in first.
Mhm. Okay. How many team members do you currently have?
Right now, we've got, I think, 16 members. We've got me and Mike are the lead advisors, and then we've got Matt and Emily are our service advisors. Helen is an associate advisor, and then we've got Crystal who just does everything else. Like she's office manager, client service admin, all that. And then we're in the process of probably hiring 1 or 2 more people right now.
Mhm. Awesome. And you said that your he's your partner. His name's Mike.
Yeah, Mike. So Mike
Cool.
Mills Wealth Advisors. He's the founding partner of Mills Wealth.
Got it. And he's still active, or how? What
Yeah.
what is his role? Yeah.
Yeah, he's still active. Yeah, I would say I probably do most of the day-to-day things. but he's in the office right now working today. He's not putting in probably I would say the same hours I'm putting in, but he's definitely not a silent advisor. He's in here 3 to 5 days a week, every single week. He'll go on 2 or 3 week long vacation during the summer, but other than that, he's in here working, trying to grow the business.
Awesome. Does he have kind of stepping back or retiring on the horizon and handing the keys to you?
He doesn't, but his wife does.
Okay.
So his wife would like for them to retire. They've got a boy that's in ninth grade right now, so they've got a 5-year plan, and that 5 years is where he'll start to slow down. He doesn't have a ton of hobbies, so he's always gonna be a part of the business. But I think in 5 years he'll probably spend less time running it, and he'll spend more time probably just being an advisor. He's out traveling. He's over in Italy and he meets some expat or someone else there. He's going to try and be their advisor, but he's not going to be the guy who's going to try and run the office while he's not living here and he's out traveling.
Okay. So he's like forced to go on these like exotic vacations to, meet some other small business owners that
Yeah.
he's doing. That's tough, man. But somebody's got to do it, right?
Yeah. Why would you retire from that? Like, right off your travel.
Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. How did you two like meet, like get in contact?
I interviewed for a firm in North Carolina, and the firm that was running the ad for it was actually New Planner Recruiting. So Caleb Brown is the founder of New Planner Recruiting, and I talked to him, and he's like, "You know what? You're probably the perfect fit for this guy in Texas." And so he put together, and the fact that he kind of put that plug in was an awesome thing for me, because it just was another like note that it was like, yeah, this is the right guy to work with, because Caleb thought it was someone that would be a good fit for me. But yeah, I interviewed for basically a firm in North Carolina. When I was in St. George, I said, I'm going to go anywhere south. I didn't want to go north, anywhere south. So I interviewed in like California, Arizona, Texas. My brother was living in Atlanta at the time. So Georgia, Florida, and then the Carolinas. Pretty much anywhere there, I'll interview there. So it was somebody in North Carolina, and he was like, no, that guy in Texas, you're probably the perfect fit for.
Why did he think you were the perfect fit for him?
The job I was interviewing for in North Carolina was like a bigger firm. And I had said, like, I want to go somewhere where I'm going to take the firm over. And he was like, yeah, what you're looking for is exactly what Mike's looking for. Mike was looking for a young advisor that he could train to be his mini me and grow and then take over the firm someday. And so like what I wanted is what Mike wanted. And it was really just like,
Awesome. That's wild, man. You're interviewing in North Carolina and they're like, no, you got to meet this guy in Texas. All right.
Yeah.
So it sounded like you were angling for some warm weather there as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I, being from Utah, most people don't think about Southern Utah is like, it's like Vegas. Like I tell people, I'm basically from Vegas. It's hot. It gets to 110, 115 degrees during the summer. And I enjoy the heat. I don't love the cold. I played college baseball at Salt Lake Community College. And so like I spent time up there in Salt Lake. I was born there, and I was like, I don't want to deal with this 6 months of snow. Just wasn't my style.
Yeah. I lived in Chicago for 9 years, and I can very much relate, man. That winter comes and you're like, oh no, not again. Here we go. Yeah, and it's you can play pickleball probably all year round in Texas or North Carolina or Florida. Yeah. That's a good time.
Yeah.
I always wonder, I've interviewed over 150 advisors, and I think only a handful of them have played pickleball, and none of them were like as serious as it sounds like You are, and I am when I go home. Do you
Yep.
ever meet potential clients playing pickleball?
Yeah. So I play pickleball with a client most often right now. Mhm. And so like I don't think I've actually brought on any clients through pickleball. And it's probably because people don't like playing pickleball with me because I'm like trying to win. And so it's like I'm not using it to meet people. I probably should do that better. No, I've definitely made some good friends, and they'll probably be like I play with a lot of guys who are around my age, so guys who are in their 40s. And so they may not need an advisor just yet. Um, the most part, yeah, so far I think maybe one client through pickleball. And I already knew him. It was just like a friend of a friend that we started getting to know each other better through this
Yes.
bringing on clients through pickleball hasn't happened yet. It's probably people want to play with the guy that just beat him, I guess.
They're like, maybe if you let me win, I would consider you.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, dude, you gotta keep winning, man. That I don't care.
Yeah.
You play for keeps here.
Exactly.
Awesome. So, it sounds like you had some experience before you got connected with Mike. How has he impacted your perspective of what it means to be a great financial advisor?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I came from a firm where it was big on like selling and like growing your business. And so when I came, I didn't really need to learn a ton about like how to sell, but like coming from where I was to learning from him, like the intricacies of like how he invests and why he invests the way he invests. Like I didn't get that at my previous firm. And I used to tell people, I was like, I feel like I learned more in the first 6 months working with Mike than I did like first 6 years at the other firm I was at.
Mhm.
Like I just learned so much from him on how he thinks about investing, how he thinks about finance in general. And so that's the thing I think that I've learned from him is like how to think deeply. And we like to say we think a lot and we do little, because we're always looking at like the positions in our model. We're looking at the market every single day, but it doesn't mean I'm going to do anything. But I'm always thinking, always scheming, always planning on like what we're going to do with our portfolio, and then we only do it every once in a while. It's something I've learned from him. It's like they say, like cut once, measure twice, and we're like almost like measure 100 times, cut once, because we're looking every single day. We try and trade like quarterly, maybe, for the most part. And so like that's the
Mhm.
thing from him is like if you're gonna do something, you got to put your whole reputation behind it, and you got to be sure that that's the right thing for the client to do, or for the clients to do if we're moving models around. And so
Mhm.
that idea that he takes everything so seriously, and that's what's really rubbed off on me is like how to think about finance and how to like manage a book of business.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. So, how do you guys decide when you're going to, cut?
Mhm. Yeah, it's we have me, Mike, and Matt. We're the guys on the investment committee, and we've almost said like if we can come to a unanimous decision, we'll take action.
Mhm.
So Mike comes and brings an idea, and me and Matt are like, I don't know about it. Or I'm like, yeah, let's do it. And Matt's like, I don't know. We don't do it. And Mike kind of has that unilateral ability. He's, the chief investment officer. So he could make the decision we're going to do it. But he's kind of said, look, if you two both don't agree, I'm probably not going to do it. So that's been for us. Like I bring an idea. We've got a Slack channel for us three. And like I bring an idea, Matt brings an idea, Mike brings an idea. We talk about it. We have our investment committee, I think every two weeks right now. We get together and we'll talk about should we do anything. And unless we all agree, we don't do anything.
Mhm.
But we've traded more recently than we had previously, because with the interest rates moving as much as they have, on our bond side, we've been trading a little bit more because we've seen it, the 10-year go from, you know, 3 to almost a 5 in a 6-month period. And so we've been more like bond recently because of
Mhm.
that. But for the most part, we only trade when we all agree on it and it makes sense because, every trade, there's a cost to it. there's either a mutual fund trade cost or there's going to be a spread on the ETF. And so just going and trading, you could lose money just by making that trade, just
Hmm.
because there's those pieces that are cut out through the trade. So we want to make sure that it's a slam dunk for us to go make that trade because we feel comfortable with what we've already done.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. And is Matt another partner, or how does he fit into the team?
So he's like the director of trading. He's probably next in line to become partner. We have a specific thing of what you need to do to become a partner, and right now it's mostly around assets that you've brought into the firm.
Hmm.
And so right now is on track, but he's not yet a partner. But he's probably the next one that's going to become a partner through the assets he brings in.
Hmm. That's awesome. Yeah, that's great to have, like, three perspectives. It's a very easy majority, or very
Yep.
not easy but clear majority.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice because all three of us, started somewhere else. So Matt started at TD Ameritrade. So he
Hmm.
came from a big wirehouse. Mike worked at a firm that worked with CPAs. And so he's like super big on like, hey, we don't create taxes if we don't have to create taxes. And so like all three of us have these different views that have come from different places. It's not like we all three came from the same firm. We just took those
Hmm.
ideas and brought them here. It's like we
Yeah.
each have our own view that all comes together and creates what our vision is, and they all are a little bit different, which is really, really nice.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's it's unique that you guys choose the investments as well. A lot of advisors I speak to, the firm has a fund that manages all the money, or they outsource that. Can you talk about why it's important for you guys to choose the investments?
Yeah, we've looked into that. There's a lot of firms they'll hire an outside firm to do it if they're around our size. They may hire an outside firm to do it. But like I said before, like the thing I've learned from Mike is like we're putting our neck out on the line and like we want to make
Hmm.
sure that we're 100% behind it. So sometimes it's easier to say, oh, yeah, this firm, XYZ TAMP, they're the ones who make the decisions. But for us, it's a lot better to be able to be like, hey, me, Mike, and Matt decided to do this. And like we can feel more confident on it. And I think
Hmm.
that's what makes it for us. The reason that we do it is because we can stand behind it 100%, which goes back to being a fiduciary. Like we 100% stand behind it because it's what we believe, it's what we want to do. And so I think that's the thing for us that we really like. And we think, our size, we're about, just under 500 million of assets under management. And we like to say, clients still are a name to us. They're not like a number. Like I came from a broker dealer where, they had, billions, trillions of dollars they're managing. And my clients to the overall firm was just a number, really. Where
Hmm.
we're at size right now, where like, even though Mike doesn't work with my clients, he knows who they are. He knows their name because we've got 300 clients, right? So he knows
Hmm.
it's not a number. And so that's the other thing that's nice about it is like these clients, like we can go make this decision. We can see a client's face in our mind as we're making the decision. We know like, hey, this is going to affect this person this way, this person this way. So it makes sense for us to do it as opposed to have somebody else making those trades for our clients or making those decisions for our clients.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Are there kind of specific tea leaves that you read? Like how do you um what sticks out to you where you're like, all right, we might need to consider this.
Yeah, a lot of time spent listening to podcasts. So like we'll listen to like We Study Billionaires. Mike really likes Med Faber. We'll listen to a few different podcasts and kind of listen to what they're thinking about, what they're doing, and then reading from advisor perspectives, and then taking in information from like dimensional funds, Vanguard, Fidelity, seeing what those guys are thinking, and then just having our own philosophy that we've stood behind for a long time. So like, this year, if you look today, it's the 26th of March, and international developed markets are up like 10% this year. The S&P's down like 2 or 3. And we've been saying for a while that we feel like international has been underperforming what it should. And so we're not surprised this year when we see the internationals outperforming. and things like that. We've just had this consistent belief. It's not like from our stomach. It's like from reading and looking at like what, you know, like I would say like financial scientists, like guys like Eugene Fama, Kenneth French, the things they're putting out, or have put out, using those to kind of look in the future and guess what's going to happen because nobody knows what's
Mhm.
going to happen. Like I thought international was going to do well last year. It didn't do as well as the US. So you can never know what's going to happen, but you can kind of think, well, over the next 5 to 10 years, what could be the best performing asset based on what's going on right now and price to earnings or any other metric that you find valuable.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Um, awesome. So let's talk about finding clients. You mentioned you work with small business owners. How do you find them and convince them to work with you?
Um, I actually posted on LinkedIn about it today. That I think the way we convince people to work with us is we do a financial plan for them.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think that it's easy for anyone to choose an advisor. Like that's a hard decision. A lot of clients, they'll come into my office and they'll talk for like half hour. Like, do you have a couch? I feel like you're a financial counselor, deep into philosophies and things like that. So I don't think anyone can make a good decision on who their financial advisor should be just from one meeting. It needs to be a whole
Mhm.
process. And so for us, the way we convince someone to work with us is we show them everything we're going to do for them through doing a financial plan for them. So
Mhm.
that's we really do is we put on our financial planner hat and we build out a financial plan. We say, hey, if we were your advisor, this is what we do, X, Y, and Z. Here's why we would do it. And we charge them to do a financial plan for them. But the actual going and finding for us has a major thing has just been client referrals.
Mhm.
And, coming from the broker dealer I was at before, they would have us go on LinkedIn, go to that client's profile, pull up 20 people that is in my second degree, feed them a list and say, hey, here's 20 people who should I call? And like that always felt really, really awkward to me because like, hey, I stalked you. Here are the people I want to talk to. Tell me who I should talk to. Just didn't feel like what felt right to them. And so now, like, what we've tried to do is whenever a client says, like, hey, thank you, Stephen, for this, or thank you, Stephen, for that, I'll just be like, hey, is there anyone you can think of that may also need help with that? Because if they're thanking me, obviously felt like I did a good job. And so it's like,
Mhm.
hey, do you mind if I ask you a favor? Is there anybody else that comes to mind that we could help with on that? And if they say yes, great. If they say no, fine. But that's what we've tried to do is harbor those client referrals of someone who, like them, has a need for whatever we just helped them with. And I tell people all the time, there's a plenty of other advisors that I think are good like me. I have other friends who are advisors that I would refer my family members to. I have other friends that are advisors that I would not refer my family members to. And so like I fully understand there's gonna be people out there working with great advisors that are just like us. But there are people I know who are working with advisors that don't have their best interest in mind. And we want to make sure that we're finding those people and helping them. So typically for us, it's finding through client referrals. That's when client says thank you, that's a great opportunity for me to say, hey, who else could we help? It would be able to have that same thing that we could help them with that they felt gratitude for.
Mhm. Yeah. That's great. That's great. So how would you describe like your ideal customer? Like what do they look like? What are they
Yeah. So typically, they would be a 45-year-old business owner who probably has a family. And the reason why family is important is because family is everything to me. And so working with clients who are really big into family, it just makes sense because we can talk about kids, talk about family. Like,
Mhm.
me, you and me before we started, we're talking about your dad, and how much you idolize him and all that stuff. So it's like talking to people about family gives me a lot of energy because I just love family.
Mhm.
So 45-year-old has a family, has a business that's usually doing, probably 500,000 or more in profit. Typically that's anywhere, from probably 1.5 million to 5 million in revenue. And
Mhm.
someone who's looking at one day to probably either pass the business to their family or sell the business. And where we can help come in is help them delineate the difference between their business and their personal, because business owners, it gets jumbled a lot. So we're coming in trying to find the people that are struggling, mixing those two and helping them build a plan that separates business from personal so that they don't rely only on their business for retirement. But at the same time, if the business is plan A, everything works out great for them. And so those people who have that end in mind, that they just need help getting there, we're that guide to go from where they're at to where they want to be.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. And it sounds like you may have answered this question a little bit already, but if one of these ideal clients, they're talking to you, they're talking to like another advisory, why do they choose you guys? What makes you guys different?
I think what makes us different is we're a little bit more laid back than I think a lot of advisors. I like to joke that the first 3 days I came to work, I came in suit and tie, 'cause that's what the firm I was at before was suit and tie every day. And after like 3 days, I kind of like looked around and I was like, I'm the only one wearing a suit and tie every day. So, hey, what's the dress code? And they're like, not that. And I think a lot of people, like for us, like they feel like they're family. So they come in, feel like it's a bunch of stodgy old men. Like we've got 3 women and 3 men on staff. So like we're kind of half and half. We're pretty laid back. We shoot straight. Like we don't mince words. We tell people how we feel, what we think. I think people appreciate that. Very rarely do we have people go away saying they didn't feel like they were talking to someone who's authentic. They felt like by talking to me, talking to Mike, talking to Crystal, they're getting the authentic us. I think people because there's a lot of other advisors who may have the exact same portfolio as us. They may use the same tools as us. But I think the thing that's different about us, and it goes back to the whole fiduciary, is like we tell people exactly what we think because they're paying us for our advice. So I'm not going to mince words. I'm not going to try and tell them and sugarcoat it. I'm going to say, hey, here's what you need to do, and this is why you need to do it. This is why I would do it if I were you. I think they appreciate that candidness and that authenticity that we try and bring.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. Great. So we are coming towards the end of our time. I have one final question for you. It's an open-ended question. You can take it in any direction that you like. And the question is, what are you working towards?
Man, that is a really good question.
Thank you.
And I have a lot of things I'm working towards right now. Here's the problem. But I would say right now, the thing I'm probably working towards most is building repeatable processes for our clients. Because for a long time, it was like me, and then it was Mike, and then me below him. And then we had one person below me, and it was like everything was just done that way. But now we kind of have 2 teams running. We have Mike here, we have me here, we have service under that. And we're getting to the point where like it's not just one easy thing now. We have some people who have different preferences. And so what we're trying to do is figure out like, okay, what are the must-haves that every client must have, whether they're working with me or working with Mike, whether they're working with Helen or they're working with Matt. What are the must-haves they need to have? What are those things that the advisor can kind of do because of preference? Because we want everybody to come in and be like, oh, I'm working with Mike, I'm working with Steven. They have mostly, 75% the same stuff. There might be 25% things that are different. But if every client's getting a different experience, you could have, 2 clients talking about that's not the same experience I'm having. And then that negatively affects, I think, people, the way they look at the way we run our business. And so right now, the thing that we're really working hard is making sure that we go from everyone having different things to everyone having about the same thing, but having it still be personalized. It was back to the whole idea before. I feel like we're kind of like, you think about Goldilocks and the 3 bears, and one was too hot, was too cold, one was just right. And like we're, I think, in that spot right now where we're like just right, where we can customize for clients, but also at the same time we need to have that rigidity. Where the firm I was at before, it was like everybody got the same thing. It was like cookie cutter. Everybody got the exact same thing. There's no customization. You can't do that. That's too hard. We can't trust you to do that. Where we're trying to say, hey, 75% has got to be inside the box, but you got 25% out here. You can kind of bring your own personality, your flair to. So we're trying to get that, because right now it's kind of like everything's 100% custom, and that's hard to scale and grow. It's hard for clients to get the best results, because if everybody's got a custom portfolio, you have a market downturn, now all of a sudden, how do you reallocate all of that? And everybody's got 75% the same stuff, or they're getting 75% the same emails, then you know what they're getting, and there's that extra, little bit of flavor for everybody. And so that's what we're trying to create right now, so that everybody gets a similar experience, but it's still personalized to them and their situation.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Awesome. That's exciting. Steven, where can my audience find out more about you?
So I'm on LinkedIn every day. So if you go to LinkedIn, I think it's Stephen Nelson CFP. Probably one of the best ways to find me. But also I'm on Instagram, YouTube. Smart Money Steven is my handle on pretty much all socials. So if you look up Smart Money Steven, you can probably find me.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. We will link to all those in the show notes. Steven, thank you so much for taking the time, man. You're a super passionate and just, caring person that you found the path, and then you were like, all right, I want to, take this to the next level, and I want to serve to the highest level of integrity that I can do it. And the universe just like brought you together with the perfect situation. I'm sure Mike like thanks his lucky stars that you guys connected. And yeah, I mean, it sounds that you're just, living the beautiful life, man. I love to see it.
Yeah, it's funny. I had spring break last week. Mike had spring break the week before, and we hadn't seen each other for a couple of weeks. And this morning, he came to my office and gave me a big hug. He's like, "I missed you, man." So it's been like hard for both of us. We both are like this
Yeah.
better than we could have imagined for both of us. So yeah, it has
Yeah.
been awesome for both of us.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man. I love to see that. That is well deserved and well earned by both of you guys. Awesome. Well, thank you to everyone who tuned in today. Thank you so much for listening, and keep on growing out there, everybody. See ya.